Alright, let's get down to business to start a new game. Prologue, Premonition. This shouldn't be too long of a game. It should be able to get this done in a session. Premonition. This is a game about rage and how it helps us do things that need to be done, as well as things we later regret. Sometimes both. How do you feel about that? I prefer to think before I act. Yeah, it's true for me. Your rage is low. So you're the observant and cunning type. That's okay. There's no right path here. Just your decisions and their consequences. Let's just follow the path and see where it takes us. Oh, the point is spiritual. The woods are full of stars. They flicker, come closer, run away. They want me to chase them, to play hide and seek. I choose to observe. I watch as they dance around the tree trunks, float up on the gusts of wind that shiver through the branches, disappear among the leaves. There are words in their dance, but I don't understand them. Not yet. Then they bunch up and fly towards me like an arrow. Rushing down, they're soon upon me. But just before the spear of light pierces my breast, they disappear and the dark of the night returns. In the darkness, the spirits keeping the forest alive whisper about the enemy. I begin to move, unnoticed, one with the night. Then I wake up. Cold and alone. Confused, open my eyes. The forest around me is thick, dark, and reeks of decay, such an extent that it's hard to breathe. The smell fascinates me. Both fascinating and repulsive, that smell is everywhere. The memory stirs deep in my mind, something elusive from my earliest childhood. The tree trunks, wrapped tightly in dark-leaved ivy, are covered in ripples of lichen where the vines haven't taken hold. The thorny, leafless bushes at their base are overrun with nettles. The fungi radiate with a ghoulish, sickly green light. Dark, sponge-like mushrooms cling to the fallen trees. Something is rotten here. Can't shake the feeling that something died nearby. I look down and see my hand covered in a dark substance. I'm naked. A sticky, glistening film of liquid is clinging to my skin. I can feel it on my face, in my hair. I'm alert. Nature is never quiet. The leaves rustle in the wind. Small creatures scuttle in the undergrowth. There is a whisper. I don't understand what it means, but the word resonates in my head. Garu. Who said that? There's a severed head right in front of me. Sometimes they're hard to make and they strain your willpower. I'm gonna touch it. Overcoming my disgust, I gently touch its wet hair and watch as the head topples over. The face is contorted, the eyes bulging, the mouth open as though the head were still struggling for air. I look at it and start to laugh. Then eyes open in the darkness. Who is it? I can see their silhouettes, shades of jet black against the darkness. They smell of fur and moss and bloodied earth. Massive creatures, some with horns, some with antlers. Their eyes burn like small, fiery windows into hell. I look at them, and something wakes inside me. Defiance. They tell me stories of their lost battle and dying hopes, and I say no. I tell them my stories of the enemy and how they are so stupid, so clueless that we almost feel pity as we kill them. They listen and laugh. I laugh with them. In a moment of clarity, I must understand what the force wants from me. And then I wake up. Hey, Jake, welcome to the stream, man. That was the prologue to this. How's your night going, man? We're here on a little trip into the forest, the deep woods, the land of the Garu and of the ancient enemies of Mother Gaia. That was a very quick prologue. I think it was mainly just to like, what's the word I'm looking for? It was mainly just to like get some early stats figured out and just explain how the game works. Stream's all going good, thankfully. The last couple times I tried to stream, internet said no. Right. Chapter 1, The Arrival. Oh, these bars are down. We had 5 blocks before, now we only have 3. Maya? Maya! Maya, wake up! I opened my eyes. My neck was stiff. I stretched lazily as I assessed where I was out of the corner of my eye. I wasn't in the forest anymore. I was in a bus. The sun screaming through the windows was making it hard to see. The girl next to me was touching my shoulder, disturbed. I comforted her. It's alright. I'm just still stewing over yesterday. I had to kick a player. They've been constantly flaking, and half the time telling us was running was because of them. Half the time it wasn't running. Okay. Yeah, that happens sometimes. I was wondering what happened, because I saw your tweet about it yesterday. But I wasn't going to, like, pry, because I didn't know what happened. And that sucks, having to kick people from games. Well, at least your game's still running. Most of the time in the past where someone's had to be kicked from games I've been in, it just meant the entire thing was over. But yeah, I'm sorry to hear that, man. So, are you like... So, like, I imagine you're not going to stop running Salamis, because you've told me how much you love that world that you've been making and the game that you've had so far. So I'm guessing it's going to be just like a delay again and like reworking stuff. I legit got everything ready. I was doing final checks and they messaged me they aren't coming. Well, shit. So that was really last minute. Like, did they say why? Like, or did they just like say, "Oh, I'm not coming. No reason. I'm just not coming." Anya is friendly. It's all right. I squeezed her hand to comfort her. She looked at me concerned. You were laughing, like maniacally. I blinked. The memory of the dream was still there. The taste of blood in my mouth. Glad I wasn't alone. Health issues, like they've used that excuse so many times. Oh, okay. It's also different with it being like a stream game as well, rather than like a home game. Like the stream game is more of that, I guess, expectation of being able to do it consistently. Though it's still a shame that like their health just wasn't good enough, wasn't well enough. I hope they're okay though. I don't like hearing people aren't like sick and under the weather. But hey, I was gonna say nothing like a walk into the woods to clear a mind, but I don't think this is the type of woods that you want to be walking into. There's werewolves and demons and dark things lingering in these woods. Nothing life-threatening. I know what the problem is. Oh, okay. Yeah, it's also a rough thing. Like, I imagine you've known all the Celenus players for a long time. Mm. Well, I wish you the best of luck in any replannings and rejigging of storyline you got to do. It's not fun losing a player. It's not fun having to tell a friend that either. That hey, I just can't play with you anymore. Thank you for coming with me, I said. The girl next to me smiled. I think we're almost there. Her name was Anya. We met a couple of weeks earlier, on the orientation day. She was from Norway, a tall, broad-shouldered, calm person who wore her long hair in braids. Somehow I managed to talk her into this crazy field trip across the land of my ancestors. It's friendly. She seems excited. Yes, she seems excited. Yeah, we're on an adventure. Anya reached into her backpack and took out 2 apples. I'm really happy we decided to come here, she said. Yeah, I said, offering her some of my cabanossi, dried, meaty sausages that were so much better than the original Polish ones back in the US. I was glad Anya decided to come with me. I had problems keeping friends around and really needed one. I did some searching, she said from over her phone, and this place is amazing. The last primordial forest in Europe. Well, I need one more player. I'm finding people up if you want to be on the list. Hey man, sure. Look, I'll never say no to a D&D thing. Or I guess selling us Pathfinder now, yeah? Yeah? I'd be down for that still. I have to like read up on the lore and stuff because I know the whole thing with the current Celenus thing is you had a bunch of players who have been going with this for like what you did 20 episodes I think it was up to or more than that, and now with the over the whole OGL stuff you were switching over to Pathfinder and like changing up how things were going. So I have like don't have much prior knowledge. I tried to like tune into Celenus when I could, but I don't know it that well apart from like what you've like spoken to me about. But yeah, I'll happily go on that list. Though also, like, if you want to bring in somebody else, I fully understand that, especially if other plans end up going ahead. I didn't even click the button. The trip was my idea. Our summer language course was starting in a few weeks. I managed to talk Anya into skipping the tours of concentration camps and old churches and visiting Bielowai. How do I pronounce that? Bielowaiza National Park with me instead. So far, it's beautiful, she said, her eyes smiling. But why are we here again? That's a good question. Why were we there? There being Bielowaiza. Oh, that actual pronunciation thing here. It's fine. I have a couple other people that I'm going to see first, mostly because you are so locked in for Phantom Trail. If they don't work out, we can talk. Hey, exactly. That's why I'm not going to, like, push into it, because I know I'm already in for Phantom Trail. So if you want to, like, bring in more people and, like, and that's, like, the fun thing about getting to do stream tabletop stuff is getting to play with a bunch of different people. I think it'll make for an exciting crew, whatever happens. And yeah, I haven't really been asking about Phantom Trail because figured I'm gonna wait till Jake has his main baby figured out. Białowieża. Okay, that's how I pronounce it. Is a village in Poland's Podlasie province, in the middle of the Białowieża forest, for which it is named. I am not going to remember that pronunciation. Białowieża. 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 Right. Białowieża. That's what I'm gonna try and I'm gonna try and keep to it. A small village in northeast Poland near the border with Belarus. It was famous for its national park, the very last European bison, and, according to a quick web search, occasional tension between far-right troublemakers and the local Belarusian community. The most honest answer would have been because I've been dreaming about the forest in Bielowiza since I can remember. But people didn't understand when I said things like that. I told her as much as I could. I told her everything. Toss of willpower. I'm not gonna use my one willpower right now because I don't know how easy or difficult it is to get willpower back. Rage I feel is gonna be very easy to like bring up and down. I keep it simple so we can figure out. Family, it's complicated. Oh yeah. It's fine. I have a couple other people that I'm gonna see first. Oh yeah, I already read that. Phantom Trail will happen. Shit keeps hitting the fan. Now I'm gonna stop talking about myself because this game seems cool and I'm interested. Alright, that's all good, man. If you wanna just yeah, I'm just gonna like read into this. I will ask, do you know anything about the World of Darkness? I don't know a lot, but I know a little bit. It's a very cool game series. I'm looking for my roots. I kept it simple so I wouldn't freak her out. What I didn't tell her was even more important. I knew my family was from there. None of my relatives spoke about it, though. There were a lot of things that weren't spoken about in my life. Strange dreams that plagued me. Half-forgotten tales about forests and wolves that I'd heard before my mom took me, ran away, and cut off all contact with my dad and his family. I waited for her to respond. Anya fell silent for a moment. I think it's great that you came from such a magical place, she smiled. The last ancient forest in Europe. Thousands of years old. I wasn't sure if I was fond of that magic. It was hard to ignore. And that's precisely why I needed to do something. Anything about my future. That damn forest and my weird-ass family. But I had a clear goal in mind. I wasn't there by mistake. I'd planned this trip for months with a clear goal in mind. To learn the truth about my roots. Goal. Mystery. Learn your family history. I like that little rhyme. Not much. Alright. Well, I'll try and like explain a bit about World of Darkness as we're going through this. But World of Darkness is pretty much, imagine our world, but all of the creatures that go bump in the night, all like the stories of werewolves, vampires, spirits, changeling, hunters. That's all real, but it's all happening in the shadows of what people perceive as like regular everyday. There are demons making deals. There are ghosts prowling the places and haunting. There are vampires in the government, literally vampires in the government, werewolves in the woods, fairies crossing over, that type of stuff. All of the stories are real, and nobody likes each other. Everybody wants to kill everybody, basically. And we're looking at things from the werewolf perspective. That's what I like about the World of Darkness, how it is this, like, you get to see the story of everything through the lenses of, like, what are the vampires view on things? What are the werewolves view on things? How do hunters and the Inquisition fit into it? It's very cool. I like it. I like dark storytelling. My grandfather's stories, the secrets, my mother running away. There was a mystery in my past. It was time I uncovered the truth about who I was. There was a mystery to uncover, an adventure to be had. I couldn't wait. Can I like click this? That's my character sheet. I am very spiritual. Learn your family history. Pursue this mystery to regain willpower. Relationships. Anya, she is friendly with us. Family. It's complicated. Sounds cool. Werewolves are badass. And werewolves are the badass of this universe. They're what I know about the werewolves. I don't know as much about them because I kind of got into it more through the Vampire the Masquerade branch. I have a shit ton of vampire characters. Only got to play once. But the werewolves are kind of like Gaia's warriors, some more so than others, with the idea of the werewolves are kind of tasked with protecting the balance of nature, keeping things in order and trying to fend off corrupting influences. Of course, there are some that break away from that. There are some that just don't take part in that. But basically, the werewolves mostly are preparing for like a Ragnarok event, and they are very cool. All right. Maya Bordich, age 24. We're American. We're a student. We are very spiritual. We have a little bit of cunning, inspiring, and analytical. We are not brave. Okay, so that's how this all works. Got it. Bio Biozawiza looked like an overexposed photo of a village with the contrast turned all the way up. It was a hot, sleepy day on a hot, sleepy street. And everything, the old trees, yellowed grass, the weathered wooden houses, the fences, seemed almost normal. Everything except the shadows. They were sharp as though they were freshly printed with the darkest of inks. And they moved. For a second, I could have sworn I saw it. But then I realized it was just a black cat walking down the sidewalk. When it saw me, it stopped in its tracks. I'm gonna just watch it. I don't know what this thing could do. Hey, do you think there are rabid cats? Because this one is acting weird. I mean, there are rabid squirrels. Why not cats? She shrugged, looking around. Didn't you say your friend would be waiting for us? But he wasn't there, and the cat was still staring at me. Let's go. Anya put on her backpack. I'm tired, and I really, really need to find a toilet. For a moment, I was tempted to just get out of the sun and worry about my missing friend later. I decided I didn't need him. I mean, he was just too important. You know what? Fuck it. We ball. We don't need him. I grabbed my backpack and started walking. I'll manage on my own. Thanks for nothing, I muttered under my breath. Anya sighed with relief and followed me. Bed and breakfast. Biazawiza had a few hotels and hostels. The preferred form of accommodation was bed and breakfasts. So that's where we stayed. I found one that was nice, clean, and had good reviews. We had a room on the second floor with a huge window and a great view of the forest. We dropped off our stuff and freshened up a bit. Maybe we should have waited for your friend, Anya asked, concerned. I shrugged. I'll find him sooner or later. Before you go, check out your character sheet. Look from the upper right corner of the screen. You'll find a load of useful info about Maya, her background, personality, goals, and so on. You can also check who your friends and who your enemies are. Oh shit, we can get enemies in this. I guess that makes sense. We have Anya who's friendly. Oh, Anya, Maya's friend from the university. She came from Norway. A tall, calm person who wore her hair in long braids. An activist. Okay. But I had other things in mind. The lay of the land. Oh shit. I had a clear goal in mind. My family was entangled with this town and the forest. I had to uncover my roots. Anya went with you. Forest I dreamed about, or the town? Let's look around the town first. This feels like prepping before going into the forest, because I know it's going to be dangerous. Serendipity. As we walked through town, Anya nudged me and pointed out a tall, broad-shouldered, freckled guy standing at the bus stop with a lost expression on his face. I remembered his face from the pictures on social media. It was a friend who stood me up earlier. Glad to see him. Bartek, sympathetic. Bartek? I waved him and smiled. Sorry I missed you earlier. Maya, what are you doing here? He blurted with surprise when he saw me. I was sure you were coming on the later bus. We started walking and talking. His accent was broad and East European. I don't know if this counts as an East European accent, but that's what I'm going with because I don't particularly know what else I could do. Anya liked him. I caught him looking at me. I was going to flood him with questions. Luckily, he loved talking about his home, so when I flooded him with questions, he kindly obliged. He talked about how the village had become a tourist destination, how the logging business moved to a nearby town, how the trains had stopped coming and the local station had been turned into a hotel for wealthy foreign hunters. The dozens and dozens of bison statues scattered around the village watched us indifferently. We walked along the only street in the village, nearing the center, if you could call it that. Every house had a garden, and the air was dense with the fragrance of flowers. Take a deep breath in, Maya. Did you manage to trace the name I gave you? I asked. Bartek shook his head. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Sorry. He is avoiding my eyes. A trickle of sweat ran down his temple. He looked afraid. What's up, man? I smiled. Spill the beans. I'm a big girl. I can take it. He just clammed up. You know what? I think you should drop it. I stopped. He was scared of something. Turned to Bartek and touched his arm. What's eating at you, man? He shrugged and shook his head. You can tell us, Anya added gently. I'm gonna give him time. Oh wait, condition impaired willpower. What the hell does that mean? I swallowed the urge to shake him out of it and just waited. It took him a while before he finally opened up. The game tracks her decisions on how Maya approaches problems. They will accumulate and gradually reveal what kind of person she is, deep in her heart. The story changes to reflect Maya's personality. Your willpower dropped to zero. When you lose all your health or willpower, you become impaired. This will make physical tasks, if you have zero health, or social and mental tasks, if you have zero willpower, harder, and sometimes impossible. Good to know. Well, he brushed his forehead with the back of his hand. I did ask. I started with the old people here. I told them that my friend from the States was looking for her roots and wanted to know about the place her family came from. You know that drill. At first, people were very, receptive. I waited for the other shoe to drop. And then I mentioned your name. He shook his head. Go on, please. Mm, Bartek, no dramatic pauses, please, I urged him. The tension is killing me. One of the old men here told me to go to hell. The other spat on the ground, and his wife crossed herself. For a moment he looked younger and smaller. And then my own grandmother told me to stop asking. She said something else as well. I tensed up. What? I asked. She told me to pray for you. Suddenly, the sweet, golden afternoon wasn't so sweet and golden anymore. I laughed. Nicely done. I punched his arm and laughed. I almost thought you were scared of me. Bartek smiled awkwardly. Yeah, it was just old wives' tales. Look at me, I winked at him. Do I look like the big bad wolf to you? We walked in silence, but my mind was in overdrive. People didn't want to talk, and that could only mean one thing. I was on the right track. People were scared of my family. Okay. It's unhealthy. My pulse quickened and I tensed up like a hound that smelled blood. I was on the right track. Every time you learn or do something significant that brings you closer to your goal, you regain willpower. I picked the right goal because I love mystery stories. I was ready to see some sights. Time to see the sights, I nodded at Bartek. Show me everything this place has to offer. We walked through the village, bathed in the sharp rays of the summer sun. It was a lazy afternoon, disturbed only by the occasional passing car throwing up clouds of dust that hung in the air long after the vehicle was gone. Anya was walking close to Bartek, asking him about every little detail in the village. People were relaxing or working in their yards, dogs were barking, and every cat we passed froze to look at us. People seemed quite friendly, though. Some of them smiled at us as we passed by, and every once in a while we stopped for some small talk with people who knew Bartek. The cats behaved strangely. What's with the cats? I asked as we passed a tabby, who stopped in the middle of the sidewalk to meow at us. I don't know. The cats. Maybe they want to make up for the village's manners, Bartek shrugged. You know, some people are very wary of newcomers. Hmm. What happens if I get zero rage? You know what? I've experimented with zero willpower. And what's what happens if I let my rage drop to nothing? Yeah, dwarves can be assholes. I understand, I sighed. Tourists can be assholes. Yeah, but there's not only tourists here. Bartek scratched his neck, embarrassed by the topic. There's a small conflict around the forest, you know. It's attracting some weird people. Activists, reporters, bored rich kids. He said as though his dad didn't own multiple businesses. People like that. And they're getting on the locals' nerves. Notice Anya frowning. Yeah, Anya's an activist. She looks skeptical. I looked the conflict up online, she said, and it didn't look so small. It looked pretty important, actually. For a moment, Bartek looked like he was lost for words. Well, you're not one of those crazies, and you're, like, almost local? He smiled. So what would you like to see in the village of your ancestors? He spread his arms as to show me all the splendor the village had to offer. Hmm. Well, you're our guide. What do you suggest? Cats were watching my every move as we walked along the empty streets. Lost hope, strange dreams, new friends, hidden tensions. I'd say the cemetery. Their whole thing is wanting to like figure out our past. Oh yeah. So Jake, I don't think you were here for it, but at the start of this, what happened was we had a choice where we got to pick what we wanted our goal for the game to be. There's three goals. One of them was wanting to discover the secrets of the forest. One was like Secrets of the Forest that was showing in our dreams, so kind of like what is our present thing. One was reconnecting to our past and our ancestral roots. That's one I went with. And there's another one that was I want to figure out my destiny and how it links to everything that's happening here. So you pretty much have a route of discover the past, to figure out the present, or look to the future. I myself, I like mysteries. I like figuring out stuff from the past. That's one I went with. I'm probably going to do the one stream of this. Something else I want to stream next week. So kind of using this as like a filler thing. So yeah, that's kind of how we're doing this. If you're interested in playing this yourself, which I would very much recommend, I'm already liking this. I like this style of game. I like this universe. You can go on like a completely different story and have a completely different goal. And I'm curious how that would affect the story. All right, enough of that. Let's get back to it. Matters of the soul. So, we have quite a few churches here, Bartek explained, as we walked down the road. Two Orthodox, one Catholic, and even one Baptist church, he said as though it were something uncommon. Mm, was there a synagogue? And a synagogue. I knew a part of my mom's family was Jewish. He shifted. Oh, wait, shit. I just realized. Oh, wait, shit. Oh, I forgot. I knew a part of my mom's family was Jewish. He shifted his weight uncomfortably. There aren't any Jews here anymore. Any Lutheran churches? Asked Anya. I don't think so. Bartek shook his head as he led us to a small wooden church surrounded by a cemetery. Anyway, even though we have all these churches, there's only one cemetery. The church was Orthodox, but the graves were a mishmash of styles and faiths. Catholic, Orthodox, atheist, everyone resting together. That's pretty cool. Large branching paths. Yeah, but it's kind of like you can kind of like set the story you want for yourself. You can go outside of that, of course. I'm pretty sure you have the same options, but you get rewards for following certain paths, and they can like help you on your quest. But if you want to branch out and discover something yourself, you can do that, or you can stick to your goal and advancing that. Uh, Place reminded me of a forest. There's something poetic about it. Bartek looked like he didn't approve. I want to get a rage back, but I don't really want to be raging at Bartek. Something poetic about it. That's a nice sentiment. There's something poetic about everyone meeting in the same place when they die. Bartek smiled. There is, isn't there? He looked at the cemetery, and for a moment he seemed lost in his thoughts. All of my family lies here, he said. I mean, the ones that are dead. Hey, what do you think? What do you think happens when you die? Left an echo I didn't know. I hope for something fair. I'm gonna say you leave an echo. Hey, spiritual boost. You echo for some time, or ripple, you know. I think everything in this world has a trace. I was looking for the right word. An aura, emanation, call it what you want. It doesn't dissolve right away. And that's how you get, shit, what is it? I think it's Wraith the Unspoken, or like Wraith the Invisible. There's a Wraith version of this where you can play ghosts. Well, not this, but like a tabletop game, I mean. Bartek seemed unsure. Is that like a new age thing? He looked over the cemetery fence. Well, anyway, this is it. The spiritual heart of Yawaliza. We can go see something else if you like. So that's where we stood. I wanted to go in. He was clearly scared to let me enter the cemetery. Is he kidding? Are you kidding me? I didn't come here to look at something. I came to look for something. We're going to look. Bartek shifted uncomfortably. I don't know if that's a good idea. But why? What? Why? I turned to him, surprised. I mean, I told you. People have weird reactions. Maybe it's better to leave it alone. So, what are we waiting for? Anya smiled at him. He mumbled something and led us through the labyrinth of graves to the far end of the cemetery. Bartek's afraid to go into a cemetery. I've walked through cemeteries to go downtown before. Just because it was like a shortcut to the... It's very horror movie trope, but there was a couple times I took a shortcut through a graveyard when I was on a walk. The walkways were very narrow. The whole place seemed quite chaotic. Catholic crosses, Orthodox crosses, no crosses at all, huge statues and simple gravestones. Graves that seemed completely forgotten. And then I saw the woman, tall, broad-shouldered, and long-legged, with gray dreadlocks pinned to the crown of her head. Must have been in her late 40s or early 50s. She was marching through the walkways with fury in her eyes. Bartek quickly stepped between the graves to get out of her way. I'll let her pass. I followed his lead. I think the woman didn't even notice us, lost in thoughts and anger. Bartek looked at her with a mixture of fear and disdain. You know something. Who's that woman, Bartek? Olga. Neutral. Who is that? I asked, watching the woman leave. Bartek winced. Oh, that's Olga. She's a local activist. She left Bieloviza when she was 18 or something and returned a few years back with the notion that she was going to change this place. We continued to the far corner of the cemetery. There, seemingly forgotten and covered in moss, was a lonely grave. It was damaged. The tombstone was broken, deliberately. Someone had obviously smashed it with a hammer. The name was half erased. The plaque was also damaged. Someone had tried to scratch out the name, but the letters were still visible. There was a circle around the grave. He would unlock recipes. Coarse salt around the grave. I'm sorry, Bartek sighed. I didn't want you to see that. I'm gonna look around carefully. The circle around the grave was broken. The disturbed soil where someone had kicked the salt away was fresh. What was going on? I felt overwhelmed and confused. What was going on here? How dare they? I had no idea who they were, but how dare they desecrate my family grave? Anya squatted and looked at the plaque. I can't read it. The letters are all wrong. She glanced at Bartek. Is it Russian? Belarusian. The same letters, different language, he explained. There were a lot of them here before the war. You're gonna need to fill me in here, Chief. Bartek put his hands in his pockets. So, you don't know anything about your dad's side of the family? He asked me cautiously. Whatever happened, happened at least 70 years ago. And someone still remembers. At a point. I don't know them. My mom left my dad when I was just a kid, so I don't remember much, I admitted. She kept me away from them. Doesn't even know I'm here. I didn't tell her that I was visiting Bioiza. Maybe he was abusive, said Anya carefully. Perhaps she wanted to protect you. Yeah, I guess. I looked at the grave. The family's name looked strange, written in the unfamiliar Belarusian letters. As we were leaving, I was thinking. I was on to something. There was something unnatural about my family, and me coming to Bioiza had stirred some old demons. I had to find out what my ancestors were doing there, who they were. That thought, I left the cemetery. The day was hot and beautiful, yet I couldn't stop thinking about the devastated grave. Abandoned railway, lost hope, strange dreams, new friends, hidden intentions. I want to go to the railway. That sounds cool. Train spotting. Bartek wants to show us the most picturesque spot in the area, said Anya. Maybe that's not the right word, he said, frowning. Well, it's not like it's that beautiful, but it has, atmosphere, a climate. Ambiance? Anya said it at the same moment as I, and we laughed. Ambiance, Bartek smiled, visibly relieved. I meant ambiance. We ended up on some abandoned tracks. We soon left the village behind and ended up on some abandoned railway tracks. So this is where the magic happens, I grinned, pointing at empty bottles and used condoms strewn along the tracks. The slow, winding river a stone's throw away, and the long, drooping branches of the old trees shading the unused railway. That place really was picturesque. The bees buzzed around us. The birds sang like there was no tomorrow. The fragrance of herbs hung thick in the air. My head was spinning. I remembered a song. As we were walking enjoying the sun, the half-forgotten song came back to me. I must have heard it as a child, and it stuck with me. I didn't understand the words, but it seemed fitting for the occasion. You know what? I like a song. I want to try and remember this song. I reached deep in my memory and found the words. They didn't quite sound Polish. I almost understood what they meant. But the song was beautiful. I soon I was singing out loud. Well, Bartek laughed nervously. Nice Belarusian. But some people don't approve of it. Then I heard another voice joining mine. We entered the dense copse. We noticed a woman standing amongst the trees. She was the one singing. Hello, Bartek, she said. She was stunning. The woman looked like she was in her late 30s and was the most beautiful person I'd ever seen. She had a perfect hourglass figure, long braids, and the most stunning cheekbones. Her eyes, slightly slanted, were a weird shade of blue. Deep, almost purple. She seemed familiar. She was looking straight at me. Oh, I could max out my rage here. Fuck it, we ball. I saw a challenge in her eyes. Felt the hair on my neck stand on end. Hello, Elizabeta Danilovna, answered Bartek. I could hear something in his voice. Was it fear? Respect? Anger? I couldn't place it. She smiled. I'm Lisa, she said, looking at Anya, and then again at me. I liked your song. You must be Bartek's pen pal, I assume. The one who's searching for her ancestry. Let's keep it pleasant. Lisa asked whether I liked it here, what I'd seen, how long we were planning to stay. Do you mind if I join you? She asked. We can be like fucking... we can get very angry. But I like this person. Sure, I don't mind. Sure, I smiled. I was about to forage for some plants in that direction. She looked at the basket she was holding in her hand. We walked the narrow path. The path was too narrow for all of us to walk together, so at some point I found myself walking with Lisa. She would squat from time to time and collect some herbs. So, you're looking for your roots, she said after a while. Why? It was just a mystery. I need to know the whole story. None of her business. I mean, we invited her along. I'm gonna say I need to know the whole story. There's a story here and I need to hear it, I answered honestly. Sit down with me. She nestled among the roots of an old tree, reaching into her basket and took out a blunt. Let's have a smoke and I'll tell you a story. She noticed when I hesitated. You need to hear it. Alright, fuck it. Is she offering it or am I just gonna take it from her? That's two different things. I'll just sit down for now.